Okay, let's look at the functional regions of the cerebellum. Sorry, of your cerebrum, not cerebellum, cerebrum, okay? So there's an area called your primary motor cortex. This region is located in the frontal lobe, specifically in an area called the precentral gyrus. So again, if I could draw for you again the brain this way, all right? Here is your here is the frontal lobe, and here's the parietal lobe. So this division between them that divides frontal from the parietal, this sulcus is called your central sulcus. Okay? And then there's a raised area in front of it. That raised area in front of it is called your precentral gyrus. And the raised area behind it is called the post-central gyrus. Okay, so you have a sulcus with two raised areas in front and behind it called the precentral and post-central gyrus. So the primary motor cortex is in here. So your PMC occupies the precentral gyrus. And this is the area that controls your voluntary movement. So it controls, for example, your biceps, your brachialis muscle. All of your skeletal muscles are controlled by here. This is where the command comes from, okay? So control all voluntary movements there. So that is the primary motor cortex in the frontal lobe, specifically in the precentral gyrus of the frontal lobe. If we go on next to another functional region, we have your primary somatosensory cortex. This one is in the parietal lobe here and sits specifically in the post-central sulcus. Okay, this one is responsible for, again, your general sensations that come to the skin. Things like temperature of the air, touch, pressure, pain. Those things come to the skin. All of those signals get sent up to this part where it's understood, okay? So the post-central gyrus houses the primary somatosensory cortex, which allows for you to be aware of stimuli that comes through the skin. All right, now then we have an area called Broca's area. Broca's area is also a part of the frontal lobe. Typically around here is the Broca's area. And this area is your speech center. Whenever you speak, the commands that control your tongue, your breathing, your lips, those commands come from your Broca's area, usually in the left side of the frontal lobe, okay? Called Broca's area or your speech center. And then there's another area. Let me erase this one. Another area called Wernicke's area. Wernicke's area is your language comprehension center. So when you speak or write or read, this is the area that allows for you to make sense of it. It's basically where you store your vocabulary. And this is normally in an area that comprises the parietal, part of the occipital, part of the temporal lobe. So that we call it a POT area that can, both get information from what you see, occipital, what you hear, temporal, and even what you feel, the parietal lobe. Those areas contribute to your perception or your ability to comprehend verbal communication. Okay, let's rank his area. All right, so those are the areas that you find in the cerebrum. Okay, in those those outer cortical regions. If you go deeper into the cerebral nuclei, you also have those clusters of cells. You know, those gray matter areas inside the brain. So your cerebral nuclei, you know, the deeper brain areas. Remember we did this before. Now here was the outer gray. So then these inner gray matter areas like this. Okay, these inner areas here we call your cerebral nuclei. So these are given names, and I'm just going to briefly mention their names and just tell you what they do in an overview fashion. We will not dig into these parts, okay? So we have things like your caudate nucleus there, your globus pallidus, your amygdala, your claustrum. There's one more missing in your claustrum, globus, and putamen. Okay, all of these, putamen, caudate, and GP, these three are involved in movement more at a subconscious level. Whereas the amygdala is involved in emotions. This helps to generate emotions, especially emotions of fear, even anger. Claustrum is involved in vision. So just know these names of the 5 different cerebral nuclei and what they're involved in, speaking in terms of general functions. Okay. Another idea I want to share as well was the idea that the brain is mapped on, or the body is mapped into the brain. So there's something called an homunculus. And this one you may have to look in your PowerPoint to see what it looks like. I can't really draw that for you. But the homunculus is the representation of the body on the brain. Okay, that's your homunculus, and there's a map of it on the primary motor cortex. That one is called your motor homunculus, and there's also one in the primary somatosensory cortex. That one's called your sensory homunculus. So what I want you guys to know about the homunculus is that the body, the proportion of brain tissue that's given to a body region is based on how many neurons are involved in controlling or receiving from that body area. So for example, your lips will be quite big on the brain compared to your entire trunk, because your lips is more involved in, you know, detecting touch, pain, pressure, and also same as well for even on the motor side. Your lips do a lot of things. It moves, it brings, you know, it kisses, it puckers, all those things it does requires many more neurons, so it has a bigger brain space than the entire trunk. Okay, we'll pause there.